What's going on, everyone? I am Double D, and welcome to the Double D Podcast once again. I'm your host, Dan DeForest, and here we are to the post-race news. So the NASCAR Cup Series was racing at Iowa Speedway this weekend in the Iowa Corn 350, and Chase Briscoe won his 6th pole of the year. As I said last week, this guy is like Ryan Newman, winning all these poles. It's like every week now he's winning a pole. But anyway, William Byron would start second right next to him, and the race would be underway. Briscoe would not hold the lead, and William Byron would take the lead right away. And it seems like Byron was dominating most of stage one, but Stanowsky was looking strong with the long-run car he had, and he was able to move William Byron out of the way in the closing laps of stage one to win his first stage of the year. Stage 1 would conclude, and Chase Briscoe would win the race off pit road under caution because Brad Keselowski's pit crew made mistakes and lost a few spots on pit road. So therefore, Chase Briscoe was able to get the lead back, and he would lead some laps out front, and it seemed like it was going to go green most of stage 2. But William Byron would be the first one to pit, and there'd be others that would follow right behind him. But you would have other drivers like Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, and Austin Cindric. Most of the Fords pretty much staying out, trying to run along, hoping for a caution that would help in their favor, to help with their fuel strategy of trying to win the Iowa Corn 350. But it would all go into chaos because Cody Ware would go for a spin to bring out the first caution for an accident. And then you thought they would keep going green until the end of stage 2. That wasn't the case. They kept being caution after caution. It would stretch into the end of stage 2, into a little bit of stage 3. And it would be like a span of like 40 or 50 laps. You'd have like all these cautions. I was crashing out about it on my watch party last week, but it was just insane, like how many cautions and accidents we kept getting. And I bet the fans in Iowa were annoyed over there as well about all those cautions going on. But anyway, you would have SVG go for a spin. You would have Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott make contact. Wouldn't bring out a caution though. You would have other incidents. Hocevar would go for a spin. Luckily, they didn't bring out a caution. They were able to end stage 2 under green. And Keselowski would win his second stage of the day, sweeping both stages. As I said, you kept getting caution after caution. And, of course, you know, Brad Keselowski, Blaney, and Austin Cindric on that strategy I was talking about, they would stay out for stage 2. And they'd just be being caution after caution. You'd have Hamlin wreck. You would have Hocevar wreck again. You would have Zane Smith go for a spin. Eric Jones went for a spin. You have Briscoe get into Zane Smith, as I mentioned. And he would also get into Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell. I mean, it could be in wreck after wreck. SVG spun. Then he had Ty Dillon spin. It was driving me insane. Just all the wrecks they kept having in a row. But eventually, it would stop. But with pretty much all those cautions going on, you'd see drivers pretty much pit or stay out, hoping that it would keep going green or keep getting more yellows to help their race going on. But Chase Elliott did not have a good pit call once again. Alan Gustafson did not give him a good pit call. He kept him out while everybody else was pitting. And therefore, Chase Elliott did not have enough fuel to get to the finish. So he had to pit later on, along with Josh Berry. Just more bad calls that Alan Gustafson is making. And as you would see, before that, Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski would pit earlier, and that's what helped them get like a top 5 finish later in the race. But all the cautions would be going on, they'd be done, and William Byron would presume the lead, and William Byron, everybody thought he was going to run out of fuel. It looked like he was close to running out of fuel. But Keselowski had a long-run car, was trying to chase him down, but as we've saw for like the past few races, dirty air from the other car right in front of you is affecting the passing and the racing in the race itself. And Keselowski, once he got behind, I believe it was it Ryan Preece or was it, I think it was Chase Briscoe. Actually, it was Chase Briscoe. He got behind and he could not make any passes. And it was just really difficult to pass at Iowa overall. And that helped William Byron. He was able to save enough fuel to get the win and even do a burnout at the end. Just these fuel mileage races and not able to pass is just annoying with all these type of races and stuff. But William Byron was able to get the win, and he was able to take the points lead by winning the race away from Chase Elliott because Chase Elliott finished 14th. It's not a good race at all for Chase Elliott. And now we take a look at the top 10 from Iowa as William Byron got to win. Fuel held up for him, so he was able to take the win away from Kozlowski, who dominated, but he was only able to manage third. Chase Briscoe got pole, finished second. He was pretty much in the top 5 most of the race. He didn't run a bad race. So it wasn't like that he only had speed for one lap. He was able to be a contender most of the day. Ryan Blaney got 4th. Ryan Preece 5th. Bubba Wallace, I want to give a shout out to him because he went through a lot today. Had a broken toe link earlier in the race. He was able to bounce back from all of that, and he was able to get 6th place after a win at Brickyard 400 last week. He was able to bounce back, and he got 6th place. You got Alex Bowman in 7th, and you got Carson Hocevar 8th, Joey Logano 9th, and Austin Dillon 10th. Solid run for Austin Dillon. It looked like if strategy could have went his way, he could have been a contender, but of course cautions kept coming, and strategy did not go well for him at all. But that's your top 10. And now it is time for the interview, and I'll be interviewing Jonathan Stanowsky, as he was a NASCAR friend that I just made friends with last year, and he just went to the Iowa race recently, and this is going to be his first time on the Double D podcast, and he's going to share his experiences from last weekend. So here he is. Welcome to joining the Double D podcast, Jonathan. Great for you to be on the episode for the first time. All right, introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Jonathan Stanowsky. I am from Wisconsin, Menominee Falls, which is just outside Milwaukee. And I'm 18 years old, and I like watching all kinds of sports, NASCAR, football, baseball, basketball. So that's me.
Nice. So I heard you're like a NASCAR and a football fan. Well, I'd have to ask, who is your favorite team? Because you can tell in the background I got some Packers stuff. I'm curious.
The Packers, yep. I am a Packers fan. I got grab this right here.
That's a W.
Got that
W.
sweatshirt. But hopefully we can make it to the Super Bowl this year. But it's gonna be a tough challenge, though.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be a little bit better, but we're gonna have to discuss, football on a different episode. But yeah, Packers fan too. Nice to meet you. You're a Packers fan as well.
Yep.
All right, so now back to the NASCAR topic. So, how and when did you get into NASCAR? Because I'm curious about that. You're into all of these sports, but what caught your eye about NASCAR?
I've been watching it basically my whole life. My dad's been watching it. I think his first race, he told me, was the 2002 Daytona 500. That was his first race he ever went to. And he told me a story that how he got into NASCAR. He was just randomly went to a bar, saw it was like 90s, like some Richmond race, and he saw it and he kept watching. But and then I've been going to races since I was 5 years old. My first race was back in 2012 at Chicagoland. So, and then my dad's been bringing me to races, a couple races a year ever since. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. You were born into the sport pretty much at only like 5 years old. It took me until I was like 8 years old until I saw my first NASCAR race. Well, not in person, but on TV.
Yeah.
So, interesting that his first race he saw was the 2002 Daytona 500. That was pretty insane race when you look back at the history on it. Sterling Marlin could have won his third Daytona 500 if he would not have touched the darn wheel.
Yeah, I know. What was that? Ward Burton won that race?
Yeah.
Right?
He was an underdog, considered an underdog back then.
Yeah.
I remember Benny Parsons' voice in my ear. Oh, he can't do that.
Yep. And I wish I was born back like earlier so I could, watch those races live, but it's still fun being a fan now.
Yeah, still looking at the history, it's still pretty cool. I mean, I wish I was born in the 80s, honestly, because that's where NASCAR was kind of at its peak. You had Richard Petty 90s, still looking good, Dale Sr., Darrell Waltrip. You had everybody like in their prime going at each other.
Yep. Yeah, we really miss those days, but
Yeah.
hey, we're here now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty cool, but back then, nostalgic.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how you got into NASCAR and when you got into NASCAR. Okay, who's your favorite driver? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have different types of drivers and everything.
Okay, so I was born a Jimmy Johnson fan because my dad liked Dale Jr. And then after he retired, went to Larson because he replaced him in the same car. So I kind of stayed in the same car, so I'm a Larson fan now. And the last couple of years being a Johns fan was pretty rough, but once he retired, it kind of got better to Larson. It wins a lot, so yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy how you got into being a fan of Jimmy Johnson and going into Kyle Larson, because that was kind of similar how I got into being a fan of Chase Elliott was whenever Jeff Gordon. I was a Jeff Gordon fan, and back 2012 actually. First, I was actually a Denny Hamlin fan, and then I was like, nah, I kind of like this Jeff Gordon guy.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon, 2014 Jeff Gordon, man, if only he would have made it to the round of four, it wasn't for that darn Brad Keselowski slamming right into his side.
I don't know why. I still remember watching that live. I don't know how I remember it, but I remember watching it live for some reason, even though I was like 8 years old.
Yeah, I remember back like when I was a kid, I was so angry at like the TV, and my mom came in a room and she saw like Jeff Gordon and Keselowski fighting. She thought it was like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, man.
Which that was like insane. So yeah, so then Jeff Gordon, had that good year, and he made it to the championship in 2015. At least I was able to see him in some type of championship contention.
Yeah.
Before he retired.
It sucks he couldn't win it though, but
yeah. And then, of course, that's how I got into being a fan of Chase Elliott, and here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Of course, I don't agree with Kyle Busch winning it. He missed half season, but that's just me, but.
I mean, that's just how the playoff system is. We'll have to discuss the playoff system in a different episode. Okay, so whenever I texted you, like a long time ago, you told me you were going to Iowa, and this is why I had to have you on the podcast. I'm pretty sure it was a really fun time over there. I'm pretty sure the experience was pretty amazing. You want to share it, like how the Iowa weekend was to the audience?
Yeah, so Friday, I'll go through the weekend. So Friday we had like about a 5-hour drive down there, and then we had Saturday the Xfinity race, and there's actually an airport right behind the track, so you'll see planes just take off randomly right behind you. So Sam Mayer won, which I'm really happy about because he's my favorite driver in Xfinity. And then racing was really good. And then Sunday we had the Cup race as a day race, which last year it was a night race, which I kind of miss, but kind of an earlier start time. And then we had William Byron win, and it was sold out. It was sold out every seat. Racing might not have been great for the Cup Series, but and all those cautions, man, those cautions, everyone was getting kind of angry. Everyone just wrecking, but yeah, I didn't know about the host of ours, Zane Smith incident. Like they wanted to fight each other or something over here until like after the race. I saw it, and
they were.
I didn't even know they were saving. Yeah, but I didn't even know they were saving fuel until I saw after the race. I was looking at clips because you can't really tell when you're there. You can't really hear the announcer. But yeah, it was a really fun experience. Got some new die casts and some new merch. Got to meet some drivers. I met Sam Mayer, Creed, Jones, and all the JRM drivers and SVG. So yeah, that was a pretty fun time, and I would plan to come back next year as well.
Yeah, I saw the photos. You met quite a bit of drivers. Well, I find it interesting you saw Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar get into a fight. I literally saw no mention to that on social media at all, and now I'm just learning about it by you telling me.
Yeah, they didn't actually fight each other. Just they kind of wanted to, but because I didn't know about the feud until after the race already happened. So
Yeah. And it's interesting how, like, how it's difficult to keep up with race, kind of like fuel strategy going on. For some reason, I was able to notice last year at Gateway in 2024 when it was the Penske cars going on a different strategy compared to all the rest of the field. And Ryan Blaney had a suspiciously fast pit stop. And I was like, man, he got out quicker than all the others.
yeah,
I wonder why. And the reason why was because they didn't put enough fuel in it. And on the last lap, with 2 to go, he ran out of fuel, and that gave Cindric the win, which I found that a crazy finish back then.
Crazy. A lot of fuel saving now, kind of. So a lot of the races seem like they're race starts, they're saving fuel, and then yeah.
Yeah, I will say back when they were getting having those caution after caution, I think there was total almost 10 cautions in a period of 50 laps. I mean, if you saw my watch party, I was crashing out around that time.
Yeah, they broke the season record for most caution in the race. They had 14, I believe, in the whole race.
Yeah.
So
I saw NASCAR.com, and I think it was 12, unless they don't count stages.
Yeah, they might have counted it when they set out the race. So 14 or 12.
But yeah, it was really annoying, and then horrible watching at home because I was wanting the race to get over with. I was wanting to see a clean race, but of course, these NASCAR races, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, it was clean at the first stage, though.
Yeah. But something I'd like to discuss, William Byron, how he was able to stretch that fuel tank to win the race there. It's just insane because Keselowski, it looked like he had a really good car, and he was trying to catch up to pass Briscoe and all the others, but his car just stalled out, mainly because of the dirty air. And honestly, he had the best car in the long run, and he still wasn't able to get past anybody. And that's the frustrating scene I've seen with the trend of some of these fuel mileage races. You get to the car that's saving fuel, but you can't pass them. You saw it at Pocono with Briscoe and Hamlin.
Yeah. I think the Pocono race there, Briscoe was just air blocking a lot, and Hamlin couldn't get around him. But we saw on the first stage of that Iowa race, Byron dominated. Brad got by him with 3 to go, and then he won the stage. And then he had to pit at the end of stage 2, which kind of ruined his chance. He kind of gambled so the race didn't go green the rest of the way, or if it did go green the rest of the way. But we all had that caution, all those cautions, they kind of screwed him. So
yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, that's a call I really disagree about, what Chase Elliott was making, Well, not really Elliott, but his crew chief, Alan Gustafson. He stayed out for that long. I mean, smart decision was if you saw all those cautions, you could have pitted with Briscoe and Keselowski, and that worked out for them because they were in the top 5.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like Alan Gustafson needs to be fired because I didn't know he had stayed out that long until I looked on the NASCAR app why he pitted. And I was like, oh, that's why he had to pit. So, yeah, it's really frustrating. I was kind of hoping to see if he could win, but it would have been cool to see him win. But I'm still happy for the Byron win, though, because I root for all HMS guys.
Same here. I root all for the Hendrick cars. And that's the insane thing, because Chase Elliott, he worked his way himself up to 14th even after pitting, but he just couldn't crack the top 10 even after that. And I agree with you. I mean, if you've heard me on social media and, of course, on my podcast and stuff, I really believe Alan Gustafson needs to be fired. I mean, back then when he was with Gordon and maybe earlier in Chase Elliott's career, he would make more good calls than bad calls. But now it seems like it's the opposite. He's just making more bad calls than good calls. And if you notice Chase Elliott, he's really consistent. He's barely making any mistakes. But it's either his pit crew or it's the crew chief. And most of the time, it's the crew chief now. And I think there needs to be some type of change up in the pit box for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, obviously they were really good back in the Gen 6, but they had a good season in 22. And I feel like after his injury in 23, he hasn't gotten the job done as much. But obviously, he's still been fast, but he just hasn't gotten the wins to show for it. But obviously not all the driver to blame there. So
yeah, that's the thing about Chase Elliott. Really good in the Gen 6, winning a lot of races, but it's kind of like a different type of driver now. Of course, he had to adapt. I listened to like recent interviews about like Chase Elliott. He had to adapt with his driving style. Other drivers like Kyle Busch and others had to change up their driving style to try to get used to the Gen 7. And Chase Elliott, to me, is kind of a different driver. Not really winning as much, but really consistent. Kind of reminds me of like Carl Edwards back in the day, where he wouldn't win as much races, but he would finish consistent.
Yeah, I mean, Carl Edwards, obviously, he's really close to that championship back in 2016. He's been really consistent. And, yeah, Kyle Busch, I mean, it's not all his fault. I think some of it is, but when he finished decent yesterday, he kind of had to rebound. But, yeah, some of those calls for Kyle Busch's team, though, have not been good either.
Yeah. And I see, like, Richard Childress kind of, like, blaming, like, the cars for, like, Kyle Busch. But I think there's a lot more problem than just the cars.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like RCR, like, anymore, because he thinks when Austin Hill got in that feud at Indianapolis, he thinks that wasn't his fault, but he clearly turned Amarola, and I feel I just don't like him anymore.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I got respect for Richard Childress. He's like a fighter trying to, like, help his team in all the situations. But you can tell, like, the last couple of big situations that's went on with him, it has not looked good for him. Ironically, it kind of reminds me of the Jerry Jones of NASCAR.
Yeah. And also, Austin Dillon, he hasn't been good ever, really. So, yeah. But Xfinity team is doing all right, though.
Yeah, he had a good showing. Like, Austin Dillon kind of had a good showing yesterday. He showed some speed, but of course got caught up in the strategy.
Yeah, he was running top 10 there for a little bit. Almost had a top 10 there.
Yeah. But back to, like, talking about how, like, the aero packages at, like, the short tracks and stuff. I will say, despite, like, it being tough to pass, I say the short track racing at Iowa was a lot better this entire year compared to all the other short track races. Because the cars were close, you had to move some cars out of the way, and you saw Kozlowski do that in Stage 1.
Yeah, and obviously I think last year's Iowa race was better than this year's, but it was hard to pass. But there was two grooves, and I thought the race would actually be better this year since that repave kind of wore out. It's not as black as it was last year, but I still think it was a all right race for a short track, but still we need to fix the car. I mean, the car still has a lot of issues, but I feel like in year 4 of this car we would have had these issues out of the way. Obviously, you saw the Gen 6 year 4 was 2016. Mm-hmm. They had great racing. Obviously, it wasn't perfect, but they put on good races.
Yeah, they have. I think all that NASCAR needs to do is just make higher horsepower and not as much drag behind other cars. Yeah, that fixed the short track problem. I mean, you saw in like previous years, like in like the late Car of Tomorrow and like the early Gen 6, short track racing was at its peak. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they had really high horsepower in 2014, and back in the Gen 6, they made a lot of changes throughout the years. Spoilers, the height of the car. I mean, they changed a lot of stuff after every year, and we haven't really seen that in the next gen car of many changes at all. I mean, I don't think you can blame Goodyear for the car. I mean, they've tried their best making softer tires.
Yeah.
For short tracks, and you can't blame Goodyear for it either. So
yeah, and sometimes the weather doesn't go its way either. Like I remember Bristol last year. They tried to make the tires like really wear for like the night race.
Yeah.
Instead, it was a snoozer.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had that great Bristol race last year in the spring, not just because of tires, because we had perfect like weather conditions for the track. I think that's why we saw all the tire wear in that day race of 24.
Yeah, I thought that racing was crazy, but I mean, I thought it was like made it more exciting and just made like veteran drivers look really good because they're like the ones that with the most experience knows how to take care of the tires more than other drivers. Okay.
Yeah, you had Hamlin won that race, and it was like Hamlin versus Truex at the end, and I just remember watching they looked like they were going so slow and winding down the laps. I mean, everyone was thinking, oh, their tire could blow at any second, so it made for an exciting end too.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy racing, but hopefully it gets better on some parts. All right, so
Yeah.
big news today in NASCAR. Kaden Honeycutt, who drives for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series in his 45 Chevy, well, it used to be 45 Chevy, just got fired because he signed with Toyota next year. I'm not sure if the team has been announced where he's going to drive next year yet, but it says it's going to be somewhere with Toyota. I found this a shock because if you remember, Tyler Reddick signed early with 2311. RCR didn't like it, but they still would let Tyler Reddick drive for the rest of the season. But I just kind of thought this was kind of petty on Nice Motorsports' part. But what do you think about this?
Kaden Honeycutt, yeah, he was sitting 6th in the points. I mean, he's hasn't got a win, but he's running pretty good. He's had good speed, but he's running 6th in the points. And my predictions of where he'll race, I think he could replace Stuart Friesen if he's still injured. So I feel like he could go to the 52 if that's a possibility for him.
I mean, that's possible, but since he's signed with Toyota, I'm not sure if they're going to go for that.
Yeah, I know, but
it's possible.
But I feel like he signed with Toyota, but I feel like but I didn't see that until you told me. But I thought he was going to go to like Dodge or something. I've been seeing some people say that.
Yeah, that was from Motor Stardom that was announced today. Yeah. I wonder if he's going to go somewhere in truck, or is he possibly going to move up to Xfinity? Because, I mean, he doesn't really get much of the wins, but he runs consistent. Kind of reminds me of Chase Elliott, kind of, in the trucks.
Yeah. I just don't know if he could find like a quality ride in Xfinity, because Nice is still like a mid-tier ride. Obviously, they had Hocevar a couple years ago, but I still feel like Nice was a mid-tier ride. He was running pretty good with that truck, so I mean, we'll have to see and find out come the off season.
I just wonder, like, why was his decision of signing with Toyota? Because Toyota doesn't have as much drivers as what Chevy and Ford does.
Yeah, I mean, Toyota, they have two teams in Cup only, and only one really good team in Xfinity, and I just don't know if he could find a ride at Joe Gibbs, maybe for the 19. I don't know, but maybe they'll keep that a part-time ride. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that develops and how his career goes. So, coming up next, this weekend, Watkins Glen. One of my favorite road course of the schedule, Watkins Glen. I just like how it's like high speed and you got to navigate through the corners. Interesting track, had really good finishes. Like, for example, last year with SVG and Chris Buescher. That was a classic.
Yeah.
But SVG's been looking dominant on like the road courses. The only one he hasn't won is Coda. But what do you think is going to happen to Watkins Glen? Do you think anybody will be able to challenge SVG for the win?
I think it's actually, I feel like Byron could maybe get the win. Obviously, I think SVG is going to be up there. I kind of think Larson could run up there. Bell is going to have a really good shot at it. He won at Coda, obviously. He hasn't won since March. And we'll see if, I think Reddick could possibly too, but I think the winner, I think SVG is going to win, but obviously that's the common choice, but he's just been really dominant on the road courses. I don't see who's going to stop him. But obviously Chris Buescher did it last year, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I believe SVG is going to win too, and I think he's going to try his best to get as much playoff points as he can, because pretty much his opportunity is only at the road courses, because he runs pretty much mediocre at the other tracks.
Yeah, I don't. He might be able to get past first round still. Obviously, I don't see him going past round 12. I think round 12 might be his peak. But obviously, they have Charlotte Roval in round 12.
Yeah, they have the Roval around 12.
16, yeah, if he makes it past round 16, he might be set for the round of 8 if he can get that win at the Roval. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting first round for him, even with all those playoff points.
if he pulls this off, this is kind of what annoys me about like the playoff system. Like you can get good at like a couple of places, win a couple races, and be like you can be as bad as you want to be throughout the season. And you just got to win the playoffs when it matters most. And that's what happened to Joey Logano last year. I mean, he got lucky off of that everybody running out of fuel at Nashville. Yeah. And he was running pretty much bad the entire season. And then he got to Atlanta, won the first race there. And then he got lucky at Vegas again. Well, he actually, before that, it was because of Alex Bowman getting disqualified.
Yeah, Bowman. Man, I don't know how NASCAR had changed the system yet. They said they were going to change it after this year. Obviously, they just said it was going to be unlikely. Yeah. But I'm really, really, really hoping for some changes. Even if it's just a simple, all I'm asking for is a simple championship for like 3-race round. That's all. Yeah. That's literally all I'm asking for. But if they were to change it, but yeah, if a Ford wins again this year, I might crash out. I'm
even if it's a Penske car.
Yeah, if it's a Penske car, man. I mean, Brian Blaney's tolerable, but
yeah, I agree. If I were NASCAR, honestly, I'd keep the playoff system, but get rid of the win and you're in for the regular season.
Oh yeah, that'd be fine too, in my opinion. Because
okay, go ahead.
At this rate, the SVG would be like 300 points out, and we saw guys back in the 2010s get wins with road course ringers like Montoya, Ambrose. They won at Watkins Glen, and they never had a shot at the championship still. So
I will say for SVG, he has gotten a little bit better with like the oval tracks, but I think he still needs like this year and probably the other 2 years until he can figure out like the ovals. But he's getting better.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
I think he should have stayed in Xfinity for one more year and learned the ovals. I feel like he could have got a lot better. But that's just my thoughts on. I don't know why he went to Cup year this year. I feel like if he stayed another year and learned more of the ovals, not just 1 year, he would have progressed more for the Cup. But that's just my opinion.
I think Trackhouse wanted that sponsored money from Red Bull. That's my personal take.
Yeah, but they got Zillage too with that Red Bull money too, the 87.
Yeah, well, and also too, the Gen 7 cars, they drive a lot different than like the Xfinity cars.
Oh yeah.
That might have been why they wanted to rush them up.
I think I forgot about Zillage. He's in this race this Sunday, so I think he could be a big factor. I think he could play a little bit of a factor too in the Sunday race.
Then you also got AJ Allmendinger, and you can never count out Chase Elliott either at road courses.
Yeah, Allmendinger won a couple years ago at the Roval, and he's won at the Glen back in 14. So yeah, he could be a pretty big factor in that race as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch. I think there's gonna be a lot of contenders. But okay, so back to hold on. The last question of the podcast. It's good discussion about like what we had last week and coming up this week. But here's a question I ask all NASCAR fans that I interview on here when they're on here for the first time. What is your favorite 124 and 164 diecast that you own in your collection?
All right. This is actually a custom that I got signed back at Road America back in 21. It's a Josh Bilicki 2021 Cream and Sicilian.
Oh, nice.
And I got this for Christmas one year, back a couple years ago, but because Cream Sicilian's like a local pizza place.
Nice.
But I got that signed a couple years ago, and obviously I missed that track on the schedule because that's the only track I had in my home state. But that's probably my favorite diecast right there.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind NASCAR going to the Milwaukee Mile or the Cup Series. Go to the Milwaukee Mile sometime. Yeah,
it sucks they left the trucks, but I saw they left the trucks because they inflicted with IndyCar and the State Fair, because the Wisconsin State Fair is actually happening right now, a couple minutes from my house. So, wow. So the State Fair is at that track. So,
yeah, it's crazy how scheduling goes. What's your favorite 1/6 for? Also, ask stat.
164. So we got Jimmy Johnson.
Nice.
Superman.
I remember that scheme.
2016
16.
or 16.
I think that was the one he won at Auto Club.
Yeah. I have the hat for that as well. Got it. I don't remember where I got it, but I had the hat too, so.
You know what's really gutted about me? I have Chase Elliott's Baja Blast 164 that I opened from the NASCAR Authentics. Man, I should not have opened that back then. It's going for a lot on eBay.
Yeah.
It probably still would sell for some, even with it being a Baja Blast car.
Yeah. Authentics. I feel like the older Authentics are getting. I feel like they're better because they used to have some good kind of casing around it. They have some better casing. I feel like they go for more now. So
yeah, I agree with the Authentics cars. Honestly, back then they were kind of even the cars Lionel makes.
Yeah, and Lionel. I mean, I feel like they are not as good as they used to either. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a topic for another episode with how the diecast and everything. We would have to make an episode solely based on diecast. Maybe my collection. I'll take a tour around my entire collection. Why not?
Yeah, I have a lot in here. I mean, when I move out, I'm gonna just have a room full of just dedicated to NASCAR diecast, probably.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, so thank you for joining the interview. It was a pleasure talking to you for the first time on the Double D podcast. Sure, you'll definitely be back on here. We'll definitely have to talk about the Packers and how they're gonna do this season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.